How did Jelly Roll Morton influence early jazz? If you're curious about the early days of jazz and the figures who shaped it, you're in the right place. Let's talk about Jelly Roll Morton, a name that's often associated with the origins of jazz. Jelly Roll Morton was more than just a musician. He was a composer, arranger, and bandleader who left an indelible mark on the genre. One of his most significant contributions was being the first true jazz composer. He was the first to write down his jazz arrangements in musical notation, which was a game changer because it allowed jazz to be preserved and passed down in a structured form. Morton's compositions are legendary. Songs like King Porter Stomp, Wolverine Blues, and Jelly Roll Blues became staples in the jazz repertoire. These tunes not only showcased his musical genius, but also set the stage for future jazz musicians. For instance, King Porter Stomp, written decades earlier by Morton, became a big hit for Fletcher Henderson and Benny Goodman during the big band era. He was a transition figure between ragtime and early jazz, combining the syncopations of ragtime with jazz improvisations as early as 1910. This blend created a unique sound that defined the early jazz era. His piano solos, such as Grandpa's Spells and Shreveport Stomp, were among the most significant in jazz at that time, showcasing his ability to emulate full bands with just his piano. Morton was also an innovative arranger. His recordings made excellent use of the 3-minute limitations of 78s, incorporating dynamics, breaks, arranged passages, and solos that were both written out and improvised. This approach made it difficult for listeners to distinguish between what was planned and what was spontaneous, adding to the magic of his music. As a bandleader, Morton inspired his musicians to deliver their best performances. His band, Jelly Roll Morton's Red Hot Peppers, which he led from 1926, featured musicians well-versed in the New Orleans ensemble style. This band earned national fame with hits like Black Bottom Stomp and Smokehouse Blues, laying the foundation for the swing movement that followed. Morton's influence extended beyond his compositions and arrangements. He was a pioneer in recording technology, being the first to record the washboard, bass fiddle, and drums, which were previously thought to be impossible to capture. He also introduced the use of brushes, initially called fly swatters, in jazz music. In 1938, Morton had a significant recording session with the Library of Congress, where he shared his version of jazz history through piano solos and songs. This session resulted in 52 records with over 100 individual compositions, providing a rich historical context for jazz. Jelly Roll Morton's contributions to jazz are undeniable. He brought New Orleans musicians to the forefront, worked with legends like Sidney Bechet and Kid Ory, and continuously innovated within the genre. His legacy continues to influence jazz musicians to this day, making him a central figure in the history of jazz.